Picture a man who owns a quarter of the most powerful city on earth, a personal fortune so large it rivals the entire annual budget of the Roman state. A man who pays off the debts of an ambitious young upstart named Julius Caesar, and who, single-handedly, raises an army to crush Spartacus when the Senate can't. And yet, he'll die with molten gold poured down his throat in the dust of a Persian desert. His name was Marcus Licinius Crassus, the first billionaire in Western history. Today, we're not telling his life story. We're dissecting his business model and figuring out why the man who mastered the economics of Rome never understood the economics of war. On this channel, we take apart the people who built empires, money, politics, conquest, not to worship them, to pull out lessons you can actually use. This video is the autopsy of a strategy and of a money machine. We'll see how Crassus built his empire, but more importantly, who paid for it, how, and at what cost. 3 economic pillars, brutal and brilliant. 3 lessons that private equity funds still run today. Stick around for the last one. It's why the biggest checkbook in the world is never enough. Rome, around 115 BC. Marcus Licinius Crassus is born into a respectable family, not rich enough to be untouchable, not poor either. His father makes consul, then censor. Think of it as CEO of a top company crossed with a senior public official. Here's the telling detail. The Crassus family lives modestly, several of them under one roof, saving, avoiding any show of wealth. First seed, in this family, money isn't for showing, it's for managing. Then, at 28, everything collapses. Civil war breaks out between Marius and Sulla. Marius's faction takes Rome. Crassus's father is killed, so is his brother. The family is wiped out, the assets seized. Crassus flees to Spain, and according to Plutarch, he hides in a cave for 8 months, fed in secret by an old friend of his father's. 8 months in the dark, long enough to figure out 3 things about Rome. 1. Family wealth is never safe. 1 civil war, and it's gone. So you need a fortune that's spread out, liquid, and politically protected. 2. Chaos isn't a disaster. It's a giant transfer of wealth. When everyone else panics and dumps their assets to survive, the one person still holding cash buys it all for pennies. Other people's fear is your fortune. 3. In Rome, you don't survive by being honest. You survive by being indispensable. And to be indispensable, you have to be the one who pays. At 30, he walks out of that cave with nothing, but he has a plan. Crassus would spend almost his whole life failing at one thing: military glory. He joins Sulla. He fights well. But standing right next to him is another young general, Pompey, flashier, luckier. Sulla hails Pompey as Magnus the Great. Crassus gets a polite little crown. First failure, he's never the hero, always the reliable one, never the legend. Second failure, in 71 BC, when he finally crushes Spartacus, it's Pompey, who showed up at the very end, who brags about ending the war. Crassus won the battle. Pompey won the headlines. Third failure, the quiet one. For all his money, he's never loved. Respected, feared, flattered, but never loved. And in Rome, the love of the crowd is a currency money can't mint. And that's exactly why he invents a third path. He can't win on glory, he can't win on popularity, so he wins on economics. He doesn't want to be loved, he wants to be unavoidable. 82 BC, Sulla comes back victorious and sets up the prescriptions, public hit lists. Land on the list, you lose your life, and your property gets auctioned off. Except the auctions are rigged. Sulla's friends scoop up villas, land, mines, slave workshops for next to nothing. And the most aggressive buyer of all? Crassus. Plutarch even claims he added names to the lists himself just to grab the property. True or not, that's the reputation. The original opportunist with no scruples. This is the moment it clicks. Political instability isn't a risk, it's an undervalued asset. The Civil War is the biggest forced fire sale in Roman history, and Crassus is the lead buyer. And he grasps something Pompey and Caesar never quite will. In Rome, war, politics, and money aren't 3 separate worlds. It's all one profit and loss statement, revenue on one side, costs on the other. So how does Crassus become the richest man in Rome in 2 decades? Pliny the Elder puts his fortune at around 200 million sesterces. A Roman soldier earns 900 a year. which means Crassus could have personally paid more than 220,000 troops for a year. He actually said no one's truly rich unless they can fund an army out of their income. The Crassus money machine. 3 pillars. Pillar 1. Buying distress. For 30 years, Crassus buys whatever's selling in a panic. Seized land, foreclosed estates, the homes of ruined aristocrats. While his peers live on credit, he pays cash. That permanent liquidity is the weapon. He buys 30 to 50% below market because he's the only one who can close the deal the same day. Pillar 2. The fire racket. Rome has no public fire brigade. The buildings are wooden, packed together, and constantly burning. So Crassus trains a crew of 500 specialized slaves, firefighters, masons, architects. A fire breaks out, his crew rushes over and does nothing. First, Crassus negotiates with the terrified owner and buys the burning building plus the threatened ones next door for 10% of its value. Once he's signed, the slaves put out the fire and rebuild. The property's his for a song. Plutarch says that in time, most of Rome belonged to Crassus. Probably exaggerated, but he'd built a private monopoly on a public service that didn't exist. Pillar 3. Slaves as human capital. His most modern idea, and awful as it is to put it this way, his most cynical one. Where everyone else treats slaves like tools, Crassus treats them like capital to grow. Human beings reduced to line items on a balance sheet. It's horrible to say out loud, but that's exactly how his mind worked. He has them trained: architects, accountants, doctors, craftsmen. A skilled slave is worth 10 to 50 times a field slave, and he rents them out to other aristocrats, a luxury staffing agency built on slavery. Add 2 side engines, the silver mines in Spain, steady and profitable, and loans to fellow senators, often interest-free but with a political price tag: your vote, your loyalty. That's how he covers young Caesar's debts. He wasn't lending money, he was buying men. The result? A diversified income stream with political leverage baked in. Crassus isn't just rich, he's rich in a way that produces power. 73 BC, Spartacus. The Thracian slave raises 70,000 men and smashes the Senate's armies. Rome's out of available generals. So the Senate turns to the one man who can fund 6 legions out of his own pocket: Crassus. He takes the job, restores discipline through decimation, executing 1 soldier in 10, and crushes Spartacus in 71. Then he crucifies 6,000 survivors along 200 kilometers of the Appian Way. The message is clear. Rome's slave system, the foundation of its economy, is not up for negotiation. 60 BC, the first triumvirate. He can't dominate alone, so he allies with Pompey and Caesar. Crassus brings the money, Pompey the glory, Caesar the ambition. For 10 years, the 3 of them run Rome from the shadows. 55 BC, and here's where it all goes wrong. Crassus is past 60. Caesar's a hero in Gaul. Pompey triumphed in the east. Crassus has Spartacus. He needs his own great conquest, so he picks the most prestigious target imaginable: the Parthian Empire, Rome's eternal rival. He personally funds 7 legions, and then he makes the mistakes any CFO would spot. He underestimates the logistics, ignores his alliances, insulting the Armenians who came to help, and stakes the whole campaign on a local guide who betrays him. June 9th, 53 BC at Carrhae, his legions are annihilated by Parthian horse archers. 20,000 dead, 10,000 captured. His own son is beheaded in front of him. Crassus is killed soon after. Legend, from Cassius Dio, says the Parthians poured molten gold down his throat, saying, "You thirsted for it your whole life. Drink." Probably not true, but the symbol is perfect. The man who bought Rome had just learned that some things can't be bought. So what's in it for us? 3 lessons. Lesson 1. Disaster is an undervalued asset. Crassus never created new wealth. He invented no technology, no product. He just moved wealth, from the people panicking to himself, the one staying liquid. It's exactly what the big modern funds do. Blackstone after 2008, the vulture funds on Greek debt, the buyers scooping up distressed assets after the pandemic. One sentence sums it up. Cash on hand at the worst moment of the cycle is the most powerful weapon in capitalism. While everyone else lives on credit, you wait. When they crack, you buy. Lesson 2. War is also a profit and loss statement. Crassus understood early that political power has a price, and you can buy it like any other asset. When he funds Caesar, that's not friendship. It's a position on a young, undervalued asset with a huge political return. The payoff: 10 years controlling the Republic. For conquerors and entrepreneurs alike, every alliance, every hire, every loan is a trade. What matters is the ratio: cost, influence, time, not the emotion of the moment. But here's the catch. At Carrhae, Crassus assumed that because he could buy an army, he could buy a victory. War doesn't reduce to a balance sheet. No check replaces courage, luck, and skill. Lesson 3. Money without skill is a time bomb. The deepest one. Crassus had the fortune, the network, the economic genius. What he didn't have were the two things Pompey and Caesar did: military talent and the love of the crowd. As long as he stayed in his lane, finance, real estate, influence, he was untouchable. The moment he tried to conquer a field he wasn't good at, his money turned against him. He funded his own death. How many people who win in one arena assume they'll win everywhere? Money doesn't create skill. It amplifies it when it's there. It exposes you when it isn't. Crassus isn't just a story of wins and losses. He's the story of a man who understood that no army marches for long without cash flow, but forgot that no army wins without skill. His fortune didn't outlive him, but his business model crossed the centuries. The Medici, the Fuggers, the Rothschilds, and today's private equity funds all walk without knowing it, in the footsteps of the Roman in that Spanish cave. Crassus proved you can buy an empire, and that you can't buy a victory. Quick question for you. Where's your real zone of genius? And where's the line you might cross one day convinced your past success will carry you through? And which of Crassus's 3 pillars, buying distress, monopolizing missing services, or human capital, feels the most relevant today? Tell me in the comments. If this autopsy taught you something, subscribe. Next episode, we dissect another empire builder who turned disaster into cash flow, but with a very different ending. See you there.